So mindfulness is all about controlling your mind. And what is the secret to mindfulness? The secret is all about you. Most people in the workplace have an average of 456 emotions a day. And most people, leaders and managers, are never fully present. They're always distracted, disengaged, and they're actually on what's called autopilot. In other words, they do everything without really thinking about what it is they're doing. And we're so lucky that some of those decisions are good decisions, but most of them, we find that they're actually not good decisions. And we always think, why did they say that? Why did they do that? So the whole idea of mindfulness is that we need to watch our experience. And most leaders don't know how to do this. And you will find that because you get frustrated with their decisions. So one of the most famous psychiatrists in the last century, his name is Viktor Frankl, and he's had about 20 PhDs awarded to him. He said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And Nitya and others who are on the program with us today, it's all about helping others to change themselves, because we can't change them. They've got to change themselves. So why do we need to change ourselves? It's because we're facing the biggest challenges ever globally, not just in terms of our own countries or our own organizations. One of the biggest challenges is leadership. And you can see that in the politicians, in the CEOs, in the executives, in the managers. We find that they're actually quite challenged in terms of how to lead their organizations. So climate change, skill shortages, mental health, lack of innovation, lack of risk-taking, and there's a lack of public trust in our leaders. So the whole idea is, with mindfulness, it's a new pathway to successfully change our organizations. Yeah, the entire organization. Change our internal culture, helping people to thrive. In other words, really give their best and do their best rather than just survive. We also need to build better communities inside our organizations. And we know that if we really implement leadership, mindfulness as part of our leadership development, then there are amazing changes in our organizations. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. So what is mindfulness? Most people think they know what it is, but really at the end of the day, it is all about being fully present in this moment, without being distracted, without judging, without feeling a sense of, oh, I know that, I've heard that, I've seen that, or any kind of assumptions and preconceptions. The whole idea of mindfulness is to be fully present and know that with our attention being fully present, we also make the best choices and the best decisions.
Yes, true.
So we found that just recently a research of 84 Australian senior executives, and by the way, I only use Australia because this was just an easy body of work that I could get access to. But they found that mindfulness was related to leadership self-mastery, which means that if you can get leaders to engage with mindfulness, then they will actually transform the organization in a positive way. So the last point on the slide says that leadership can ultimately change our leaders to be more mindful and be more present at work. Most of the time, we find that our leaders are distracted. They come to meetings, or they do presentations, or they talk to you, but you're always finding yourself thinking, oh, they didn't quite really get what I said. And that's because their mind is somewhere else. So to show you how powerful mindfulness is, here are some of the companies in the world that actually practice mindfulness. They actually offer mindfulness programs. And let me highlight a couple of things for you. At the very bottom of the screen, there's Google. You can see Apple as well. But look at the
Yes.
right-hand side, Goldman Sachs. Isn't that interesting? I would never have thought Goldman Sachs, which is, an investment company, would actually be interested in mindfulness. Then there's also Nike at the top of the screen. You can also see Cisco on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see one of the banks, Deutsche,
Yeah.
and Aetna, which is just above McKinsey's, which is one of the biggest health insurance companies in the world. And there's also McKinsey's, which is one of the biggest consulting companies in the world. And there are other companies as well. But it just gives you an idea of the breadth and depth of companies that are really, really presenting mindfulness as an alternative to all the programs that they've been teaching regarding leadership development, management development, and also they're offering it to every person on the front line. So I won't go into this slide in great detail because I covered this in more detail in the program. But some of the benefits of mindfulness, look at this. Number one, new pathways of communication and building better relationships. Second point, more attention and more focus. Most people are distracted. That's why they find that they don't make the best decisions. One of the biggest things that is happening in organizations today is people are not able to regulate or control or have mastery over their emotions. People get upset, frustrated, irritated, and then they make bad decisions. They go into meetings with bad kind of attitudes and beliefs. So if you go down the slide, you will see that you'll empower the mind's cognitive abilities. In other words, the ability to think clearly as opposed to cloudy thinking, frustrated thinking. And most people say, well, I don't know what to do about this. So all of that is also enhanced by a mindfulness program, especially focused on leadership and management. Decreasing levels of stress, I mean, that's well known. Most people don't have good sleep, and that's why they come to work in not in such a good mood. And also productivity is a very, very big point because people tend to not produce their best during the work time. So just to give you an idea, just in the United States alone, the cost of stress, anxiety, worry, mindlessness is costing $300 billion a year. So just imagine what it would cost in your organization. So how does mindfulness work? I won't go into the details of this, but I just wanted to show you a couple of things. Firstly is improves your attention. My left-hand side of the screen, it's all about the focus of how do you be fully present. Hi, Philip. Welcome. I won't be long. I'm just finishing off this last bit on mindfulness. Philip is actually going to talk about what mindfulness meant to him in just a moment. A couple of other things. How does mindfulness work? It improves your focus on your awareness. Number three, it helps regulate your emotions. And the last one is it changes your perspective on yourself. And on the very right-hand side of my screen, you can see that various parts of the brain. So lots and lots of neuroscience in terms of showing how the brain actually changes. So there are lots of ways you can use mindfulness, not just in the workplace, but you can use it outside the workplace, sitting, standing, walking, eating, getting to sleep, doing your dishes, cleaning the house, talking with someone. There's a whole lot of list of things that you could do while you practice mindfulness. So the whole idea of mindfulness really is about helping you as leaders to help other leaders and other managers. The whole idea of mindfulness is that you need to develop it so that you can have influence over other people and the type of decisions that you make. And lastly, one of my favorite authors on mindfulness says, don't let life harden your heart. In other words, mindfulness can really make a difference to you, your bosses, your leaders, your managers, and those that you love. So if these companies, Google, Apple, IBM, Pfizer, Goldman Sachs, all of these huge companies, well-known companies, if they're engaging in mindfulness, then we should as well. So I'm going to hand over to Philip because Philip has done, stop sharing. Philip has done mindfulness, and I'm going to ask him to share his insights into mindfulness.
G'day everyone. Hello. Yes, I met Dr. Paul during my studies at Australian Institute of Management a few years ago, and we've maintained a good working and professional and close personal friendship ever since then. So I was happy to come on and talk about what value I got and what I learned out of this course, which was a course I actually sought out to do. I didn't do it in the proper way. I did it early on in the piece rather than at the end. I'm very grateful for having done that. It was certainly a lot more valuable than some of the black letter, black and white courses that you get at university or in higher studies. The reason being for that is that it was a highly practical course. Some of the theory might be difficult to grasp at the start, but it is quite simple. It is quite simply for me what I got out of it a practice that helps you as a manager, as a leader, even as an employee looking to become a manager or leader, become more confident in yourself. For the simple fact that you kind of do an audit or an assessment on yourself. That's what mindfulness allows you to do. We are often caught up in the day-to-day of our work, being on autopilot in a lot of ways. By the way, what you see behind me is I'm in the Philippines at the moment. It's just a standard background. So I'm actually working for a very, very large outsourcing company now, and I've changed careers recently over the last few years. Mindfulness helped me to, in this role, going from a small team where I was the leader and I was supposedly the boss to a much, much bigger pool. One, understand my place there, understand everyone else's place there, and get to the heart of what people's pain points are, get to the heart of what people are struggling with, what they're really good at, and who can I rely and influence on as well. So the technical, people's technical skill sets and what they bring into a job, that's pretty obvious, but mindfulness lets you see what others don't. Certainly the feelings and the emotions in the workplace, which just coming in the back of a pandemic, a lot of people are stressed out, a lot of people are overworked, or the lines between home and work are blurring, and they're not feeling calm, they're not feeling in control. They probably haven't done an audit or an assessment of themselves and their feelings. They don't self-regulate well, and we all fall into that trap sometimes. So the mindfulness practice, and there's various forms of it that we did. I remember the meditations that we did with David were good. I remember some of the perspectives on what to do when you're feeling angry in the workforce, how to read between the lines on what someone's saying, monitor your breath. It all starts in the breath. So there's a lot of practical things that you'll start to see very slowly but surely make you a better, more confident in yourself, better perspective of yourself and others, and getting out of the day-to-day and looking at an elevated perspective. I think certainly as a leader, once you have this tool in your arsenal, you will become a better judge of character. You will become, you'll have a sharper mind because your mind will be clearer, and you will start to make decisions based on their merit rather than perhaps your emotions. And we all get driven by, that's why we're humans. We all get driven by emotions from time to time, but it'll make you a lot more calmer and in control. So the experience with David was fantastic because we actually did an exercise that I remember where we got 4 or 5 of our peers to do to like monitor us for a week and catch us. There was this huge assessment. David will remember it. So you find 4 or 5 close confines in your workplace, and they do they monitor you, they monitor your conversations, and more or less after a week, you get a running sheet of, you could have, it's entirely personal, of course. You weren't as mindful as you should have been during that conversation. Most of the stuff I picked up, and I go, yeah, they're actually right. That's not up for debate. I was probably, I wasn't listening to them as well as I should. Probably kept saying, I know, which a lot of people do when they don't know. So it's good to check in with you. It's good to check in with yourself like that. I find it very practical and very useful in my professional and personal life.
Philip, do you want to share anything about how mindfulness helped you in the workspace with other people at work, with those that you were either reporting to, sharing with, managing, because you manage a lot of people?
Absolutely. It helps, as I said, a lot of the times it's not what you see, it's what you don't see. So it's when you have an issue at work, or not to go straight to issue of complaints, but when something pops up and it requires your intervention, a lot of the times the facts are pretty clear, or if they're not, you have to elicit them from people that are maybe hiding something from you because they're scared, they're worried, they feel guilt. And seeing those emotions and seeing that come out, that's very difficult if you're not in the moment, if you're not being mindful. So knowing which gear to pull in is very tricky, very, very tricky exercise. Mindfulness, one, lets you get off autopilot. So you're not coming with any preconceptions. You're taking every moment to moment in of itself. So you're being completely open to have your mind changed on something. So you're not having that those biases there, which I think work against us in a lot of times in a leadership situation. So you're open to be surprised, you're open to new information. That's one. In managing up, it helps. I mean, just practically, don't approach the boss when and if they're ready. Don't unload all your stuff as an employee when you can clearly see it's not the right time, not the right approach. Don't come in when you're flustered. Don't come in when you're angry. And plan soberly. Helps you get, and so mindfulness helps you become sober. Like I'm not suggesting you're drunk at work, but you might be high on emotions. So not the right time to go in and ask for something when they've had I know for a start, I noticed that yesterday we have a very new senior manager here, great guy, director of strategy. His emotions from Monday, fantastic, open. Yesterday, he was in a pretty crappy mood, rightly so, because he had to deal with a huge blow up in the morning. So I wasn't going to be raising anything that I wanted to get done yesterday with him. I was going to wait until he's in a better headspace. If I didn't have my blinkers or signals on, I probably just would have gone straight in it for that. So situational awareness is what it helps, your own and others.
Beautiful. And Philip, finally, are there any words of wisdom that you would share about why leaders and managers should do a mindfulness program?
No, I don't know if I'm the one to be giving out wisdom and words.
Or reasons, just argument or why.
Look, it's 2022. The value, and not just to say, because it's a new era, but we're not cranking widgets anymore. Our value, we're not in the industrial age where you, so to speak, working purely with your hands. We're so-called knowledge workers, people that are meant to be. Our mind is our greatest tool, and equally, the mind of our employees is our greatest tool and its greatest asset. If that mind is not focused, attentive, happy, and if you're a manager and if you don't extract as much as you can, the full potential of that mind, well, then it's like a machine that's not running well. So purely on that basis, once a person's mind and heart is not in a job, that's where you get burnout. That's where you get people disengage and they leave a job, and then you're wondering, well, why didn't this all work out? I think employees have to take a much more attuned approach to people's hearts and minds, so to speak, because it's not who has the biggest muscles, although the mind is the biggest muscle and so is the heart. So train it like you would any other muscle, and it's the most valuable thing for an employer.
Philip, thank you so much for your time. I know how busy you are and running this program, but thank you for your time. I'm going to leave it open just for 90 seconds or so if anybody wants to ask any questions of you before you go. Rani or Nithya or anyone else who wants to ask any questions of Philip.
I'm okay so far, Mr. David. Everything is fine. I like the content.
Okay, Nithya. Rani, did you have any questions or anyone else?
Not from me. I'm fine.
Okay,
Thanks.
brilliant. No worries, Rani. Philip, I've got just one question that I want to ask you, which was shared earlier today, and that is, are you the kind of person who is helping others as well be more aware of the importance of mindfulness? Because as a leader,
yes, but yes, and look, to be frank, it makes your life easier and it makes the company's life easier too. If everyone's more in control, more calm, more chilled out, more mindful of themselves and others. So just from a purely practical point of view, you don't want to, we spend most of our lives at work. You don't want to spend it with miserable people. And mindfulness makes you not miserable. So that's that's just the purely, makes your workplace a better place to come in. It makes the energies better.
yeah. Philip, I can't thank you enough for coming on board today and
My pleasure, anytime.
Sharing all your insights and wisdom, and we'll talk again. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Enjoy. Bye.
So that brings us to the formal end of this presentation about what I covered earlier about the benefits of mindfulness for leadership management, for change management, for organizational transformation, and also just helping leaders, managers, and frontline staff to deal with all the things that they're facing: anxiety, worry, overload of information. So many things are happening for them, and how to help them deal with and manage, not just cope with something, but actually manage it and manage it well. And Philip came on board. He's in the Philippines today on his way to Paris to talk about why mindfulness is so important in the workplace. So can I just say thank you for coming today? And if you have any questions, please feel free to talk to us. And this recording will be available to you in about 72 hours once we edited them. Oh, thanks, Rani. That's very kind.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. David. Thank you so much.
No worries, Nithya. We'll talk again, I hope.
All right. Thank you so much. Definitely.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
And Rani, thank you for joining us. Do you have any questions or comments or insights?
Not so much for now, because but I also agree in terms of situational concept, because quite a number of employees, they feel, how should I put it, they just come to you and then they just say whatever that they wanted to say.
Right.
But if they want to sell their carrot, they need to check on the situation of their superior. Is it okay for me to sell the carrot at the moment?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So having said from management level point of view, because I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Ramsel Group, all right. So I also face quite a number of employees with different mindsets.
Right.
All right. So we as a C-level, at times, we also may have different mindset at the moment, but, we still stay calm and then we accept their problem first, as though that we don't face anything, right? Then we need to evaluate, okay, where she coming from, what he trying to say, and then shall I do this for him? Shall I do that for her? So I would say one, it's not a matter of age factor, but another thing is I feel is more to experience and maturity that you have even though you are the youngest one in the management team. All right. So, yeah. So that is the thing I would say, that in terms of situational, in terms of the content, we need to evaluate, we need to justify before we go and meet them.
Yeah. But Rani, one of the important things that you just shared, and I thank you for raising it, and that is, if they don't have the skills and the tools on how to approach you as a senior executive, then we need to help them, teach them, educate them, to actually gain those skills. Otherwise, they think, well, they're only here to dump on you, to share whatever comes to their mind first, without realizing you're an important person, you're a busy person. You're dealing with hundreds of other people, not just them, but they think they're the only one who's most important. So the idea is we must help them, encourage them, motivate them.
Agree. Because learn and relearn is one thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people who learn and don't want to learn is another thing. Right. Yeah. Just a saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I hope we connect again, because what you raised was very, very important. And more importantly, you're absolutely right. We need to help people be trained or develop their skills. Otherwise, we're doing their worrying for them.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all who joined us today. And we hope to see you again very soon.
All right. Thank you for the session. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for the time to watch this video, and consider AuPI as your trusted education provider. For information and other courses, please visit our website aupi.com.au or write to us at info@aupi.com.au.